Good morning, everyone. In the last session, we discussed about what is data JPA and how to develop our application by using data JPA. So we are using MySQL database and we are trying to communicate with that MySQL database by using data JPA. So when you go for data JPA, they simplified persistence layer development. We don't need to write lot of logic. We don't need to write our own queries to communicate with the database. There are some predefined methods available in the data JPA, right? So the data JPA providing repository interfaces for us. One is CRUD repository, second one is JPA repository. So both interfaces are providing several methods to perform CRUD operations. As a programmer, the thing we need to do is we need to extend the properties from JPA repository and we need to use the methods provided by JPA repository. You no need to write your own logic. You no need to write your own query. You just extend the properties from JPA repository and you call the methods which are provided by JPA repository. Guys, online students, am I audible now? Please confirm. Yeah, perfect. Good. Now, in order to develop our application by using JPA, what are the properties? What is the steps that we need to follow? First, creating a project, adding a dependency, then configuring the data source properties, then creating one entity class, mapping with the table, then creating a repository interface by extending JPA repository. Fine. I want to develop that application once again. Let me create one second application by using data JPA. Good. So can you tell me the process to create the project by using data JPA? Create new Spring Starter project. Spring Starter project, nothing but Spring Boot application. Now I am making it as 08 data JPA, 08 data JPA, which is CRUD repository application. I'm using CRUD repository to perform operations with the database. Click on next, then dependencies. In order to communicate with the database using JPA, we need to add data JPA dependency, Spring data JPA dependency. Along with this, we need a driver to communicate with the database. So with which driver you want to communicate? So do you want to communicate with Oracle database, or can you switch on the fan, this one? There will be a switch on all the fan lights. Last board. Bus. Thank you. Good. Now I want to select the dependencies in order to develop this application. So we need to communicate with the database. For that we are in data JPA, and I want to communicate with the MySQL. For that we need to select MySQL driver. Good. Click on next and click on finish. So with this, our project is created. Once the project is created, we need to configure data source properties. Database URL, username, password, we need to configure. What are the properties, right? Spring dot data source dot URL. Spring dot data source dot URL property is there. Similarly, spring dot data source dot username. Not DBCP username, just data source dot username. Similarly, spring dot data source dot password, right? So password. So we no need to configure the driver class. Based on the dependency have available, it is going to add the driver class also. So these are the properties we are configuring. Our username, password, URL. If the table is not available, I want to create the table. For that, what is the property? Spring dot JPA dot hibernate dot DDL auto, that is update. So I'm giving option as update. We are not writing the queries. Queries will be generated by data JPA. I want to print those queries on the console. How to print queries on the console? Spring dot JPA dot show SQL is equal to true. By default, it will be false. Queries will not print on the console. I want to print those queries on the console. For that, we are using show SQL as true. I created a project and I added JPA dependency and MySQL driver dependency. Along with that, I configured data source properties in the properties file. With which database we want to communicate and what is the DDL auto update and show SQL also I'm configuring. So these are used to create the data source object with the connection pooling, and this is used to create the table if it is not available in the database, and show SQL is available, which is used to print the queries on the console. Next one, create one entity class. What is a entity class? What is a entity class? The class which is mapped with the database table is called as a entity class. So I'm taking one class as a employee, right? So inside this class, let us write the variables: private integer emp id, private string emp name, private double emp salary, private string emp gender, private string emp department. Okay, so I'm taking some variables in the class. This is my entity class. So how to make this class as an entity? By using @entity annotation. I want to map this variable to primary key column. So employee ID, I want to take it as a primary key column mapped variable. Then writing @table, column is optional. If I don't write @table, class name will be taken as a table name. If I don't write the column, variable name will be considered as a column name. Okay, now for this one, I'm writing one constructor with fields also, and I'm writing setters and getters also. So I'm writing a lot of code, two constructors and one toString method, and I'm writing setters and getter methods for all the variables. All this code we can avoid by using Lombok. All this code we can avoid by using Lombok. Good. So currently I'm not using Lombok. So we are going with a normal setters getters. In future we will see how to use the Lombok here. Good. So I have one Java class. That Java class I map it to database table by using entity. So in our database, do we have any table with a name called employee? No, we don't have a table with a name called employee in our database. But auto DDL is available. Table will be created in the database if it is not available. Good. Entity is ready. Next step, we need to create repository interface. How to create that repository? By extending JPA repository. So keep a package repo. Now employee repo. Good. So this is normal interface. There is no use with this interface. I need to make it as a JPA interface. To make it as a JPA interface, extends from CRUD repository. It is expecting 2 arguments, guys. What are those 2 arguments? Which entity it should use to communicate with the database. This repository should perform operation with the table. With which table it has to communicate, that we are giving as a entity. So this repository should work based on this entity. What is the data type of the ID? ID nothing but primary key. The data type is integer. So with this our JPA repository is ready. We created one interface by extending the properties from CRUD repository. So if you do like this, whatever the methods available in the CRUD repository, you can access those methods by using our interface, right? Do I need to write @repository annotation? It's optional. It is optional. In general, when we are writing DAO classes or persistence classes, we will use @repository annotation. But here it is optional, because when our class is extending the properties from the CRUD repository, this will be auto scanned. Our repository will be auto scanned because our repository is not a normal interface. It is a JPA interface because it is extending the properties from CRUD repository. Are you clear with this one? Good. Next one, once the repository is ready, we can perform operations with the database. We can perform operation with the database. For this, I'm going to create one class called employee service. I'm creating one class called employee service inside the service package. How to make this class as a service class? What is the annotation? @service annotation. My service wants to communicate with the repository. Repository should communicate with the database. Now, see here, we are following layered architecture, guys. Currently, controller is not available. Okay, I have user service, employee service, employee repository available. Here, our database is available. Database, this is our repo, and this is our service. Okay, so service should call repository method. Repository should communicate with the database to perform the operation. Now, which is our target? Which is our dependent? Service is a target, repository is a dependent. So what we need to do? We need to inject repository object into service object. Can we call it as a dependency injection? Whatever we learn the basics of the Spring Boot till end of the course, we are going to use the same concepts. IOC container, dependency injection, auto wiring, bean scope, bean life cycle. So these concepts we are going to use throughout the course. For next 2.5 months, we are going to use those concepts on daily basis. Now, I have created one service class and I have created one repository interface. Our repository is a normal repository or it is a JPA repository. Our repository is a JPA repository because our repository extending the properties from JPA repository. In that JPA repository, there are several predefined methods available. Whatever the methods available in the JPA repository, our repository can access or cannot access. Our repository also can access because it is extending the properties. It is extending the properties, so our repository can access that. Now, I want to call service method. Service method should call repository method. So, repository should be injected into service. That means we need to perform dependency injection. What is a dependency injection? What is a dependency injection? The process of injecting one class object into another class object is called dependency injection. The process of injecting one class object into another class object is called dependency injection. How many ways we can do that? 3 ways. What are those 3 ways? Constructor injection, setter injection, field injection. Right. What is recommended? Constructor. Okay. Let me write employee service. Let me write employee service. For this employee service constructor, I will take employee repository as a parameter. EMP repo. All right. Now, I am writing a constructor, parameterized constructor. IOC should use our parameterized constructor in order to create the object for our target class. So I'm taking employee service as a Spring Bean. Inside this Spring Bean, I'm writing parameterized constructor. For that constructor, I'm taking repository as a parameter. Auto wiring, I need to write it or it is not required. Do I need to write @auto wiring annotation or not required? Why not required? Why not required? If it is a setter or field, it is a mandatory. But when you go for the constructor injection, if there is only one parameter as a constructor, that annotation is optional. Now, so when the target class object is created, dependent object will come. That dependent object I will store into my current class variable, private employee repo, EMP repo. How to initialize? Current class of variable. This dot EMP repo is equal to EMP repo. So public class employee service, employee repository is there. I'm writing a constructor, so dependent object will be injected into target object. Can we see what object is injected? system.out.println this dot emp repo dot get class dot get name. So do we have implementation class for the interface, or we don't have implementation class? We don't have a implementation class. Then how object will be injected to the target? Employee repository is a interface. Can we create object for the interface? No, you cannot create the object for the interface. When we cannot create object for the interface, how that interface object will be passed to target class constructor? Come on. Here interface object we are not injecting. Interface implementation class object we are injecting. Do we provide the implementation for the interface? No. Who is responsible? JPA responsible. When you start your application, JPA will scan the project. JPA will scan our project, and JPA will identify how many JPA repositories available. So if you have one repository, provide implementation class for that repository using proxy design pattern. So we are just creating the interface. Implementation will be taken care by data JPA. Just run the application and check it. Refresh, run as boot application. Now you check it. You check this. What is this? Create a table employee. Why that query is executed? Because of auto DDL. So I have one entity class. For that entity, mapped table not available in the database. So first it created the table. Then it performed dependency injection. Constructor is executed. Inside the constructor of service class, I'm printing repository bean, which is injected to the target. Dependent object injected to target object. But here our dependent type is a interface. It is injecting implementation class of the interface. So is that implementation class is developed by programmer or given by JPA? Given by JPA in the runtime. You check the console. Go to console. You see this one. What is that? Bootstrapping data JPA repo. That means it is checking for JPA repositories in the project. There is one JPA. How it will identify whether it is a JPA repository or not? If you are extending from CRUD repository or JPA repository, it will identify that it is a JPA repository. So here component scanning is happening. What is the component scanning? Come on, guys. What is the component scanning? The process of identifying Spring Bean classes available in the project is called component scanning. Guys, yesterday, one student got the job, fake experience 3 years. In Hyderabad, he got the job in the Wells Fargo with a 22 lakhs package. His previous batch, project batch student, 1.5 month back, project is completed. He attended 7 interviews. In the 8th interview, he got the job. 22 lakhs is the package. 3.2 years fake experience. So you understand what is the demand for the Java developers in the market. Right? I will share his screenshot today in the group. So he got the job with 22 lakhs package. Before 1 month, he don't have a job. Now 22 lakhs package. Nothing but monthly more than 1 lakh salary is going to get. 1.4 lakhs or 1.5 lakh salary he will get per month. So you need to keep that in your mind. The next 3 months is very, very, very important for you. So Spring Boot microservices, without this, you cannot get the job. It is damn important. So once you get the clarity on this Spring Boot and microservices, then how to develop one project with the real-time standards, how to use the tools. Our project batch is going to start. If you focus on these 2 courses, definitely will become a full stack developer. You will learn Angular, you will learn Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins, Jira, GitHub, Maven. All the tools will be available. AWS Cloud also part of our syllabus. You are going to keep AWS Cloud also in your resume. I will teach AWS Cloud concepts required for the Java developer. With all these tech stack, if you upload your resume, you will get the calls from the companies. So don't go for a fresher interview. Go for experienced interview. After learning this much content, working for 10,000, 15,000 doesn't make any sense, right? You need to target minimum 15 to 20 lakhs package. You need to prepare like that also. So hard work you need to do. Lot of practice is required. If you just listen to the class, that is not sufficient. Yesterday, two people got the jobs. One person got the job in the Germany as a full stack developer. One person got the job in Hyderabad. Those two people are from the project batch. The person who got the job in the Germany, that project batch is running. 9 o'clock I have a class. Batch is also not completed. Still 20 days classes are left. He already got the job. Because major project already completed, we are working on the AWS cloud now. So with that knowledge, he got the job as a full stack developer. Same batch, previous batch student got the job in Hyderabad with 22 lakhs package. So you keep that in your mind. So if you do the practice properly, definitely you will get the job. And I'm sure this Spring Boot microservices and JRTP course will be your last course as a student. After you are doing these courses, you no need to attend any other training. You need to try for the job. That much content we are going to learn in the 4 months of time. So keep it, take the responsibility, do the practice. Practice is very important. Without practice, no use of doing the course. I see many people are not coming to the lab also. If you sit in the hostel, nobody will help you. So I'm staying here. If you have any doubt, you can come and ask me so that I will tell you how to solve that problem. So utilize that chance. Right. So we have started our application. Our application is bootstrapping for JPA repository. So there is one JPA repository available in the project. There is one JPA repository in the project. For that JPA repository, implementation provided by data JPA, right? That implementation provided by using proxy, that proxy class injected into our target class. Are you clear? Good. So what is the data JPA? What is the benefit with the data JPA? Did you understand anything about data JPA? What is the data JPA? Data JPA is one module in the Spring framework which is used to develop persistence layer. Already there are so many options available to develop persistence layer. Why we are going for only data JPA? JDBC is there, Spring JDBC, ORM, Hibernate, Spring ORM. So many options are there. Why we are using data JPA? It is simplifying persistence layer development. Do I need to write any logic to perform the CRUD operations? No, everything is ready-made. Everything is ready-made. You just need to extend the properties and call the methods. You just need to extend the properties and call the methods. So everything will be taken care by data JPA. Good. Now I have created one entity class. The Java class which is mapped with a database table is called as a entity class, and the entity class will have entity annotation, ID annotation. Once the entity is ready, we are creating a repository to perform the operation. Our repository is not a normal repository. It is a JPA repository because it is extending the properties from CRUD repository. CRUD repository provided several methods to perform CRUD operations. Can you read the methods available here? Save, save all, find by ID, exist by ID, find all by ID, count, delete by ID, delete all by ID, delete all with iterable, delete all. Read it once again. Save all, find by ID, exist by ID, find all by ID, count, delete by ID, delete all by ID, delete all and delete all. So total there are 12 methods available. Total there are 12 methods available in order to perform operations with the table. So if you want to insert the record or update the record or retrieve the record, You no need to write any logic. Predefined methods already available in the CRUD repository. We can directly access those methods. Now, let us see what are the methods available. First one is save method is available, which will take entity object as a parameter. Save method available, which will take entity object as a parameter. This method is used for upsert operation. What is the meaning of upsert operation? This method is a polymorphic method. Using this method, we can insert the record and we can update the record. For insertion plus updation can happen with the single method, update plus insert. That's why it is called upsert method. When it will do updation, when it will do insertion, when it will do update, when it will do insert. When you are saving the record with the primary key value, with that primary key, if the record is available already, then it will execute the update query. With that primary key value, if record is not available, then it will execute insert query. So first it will execute a select query to check record presence in the table with the primary key. If the record is not available, insert query. If the record is available, update query. Update plus insert, which is called upsert operation, So if you want to insert a single record, then you will go for save method. If you want to insert multiple records at a time, iterable, multiple objects. Okay. So now this is also upsert operation. If you want to insert a single record, save method. I have a collection of objects. I want to insert my collection of objects at a time. Then you will go for save all method. Save and save all both will execute select query first. Based on the select query, it will decide whether to execute update query or insert query. Save all. What is the difference? Parameter is the difference. Save method will take one object as a parameter. Save all method will take iterable object as a parameter. Are you clear? Good. Next one. Here there is a method called find by ID. There is a method called find by ID. It is used to retrieve the record based on primary key. If you know the primary key, then you can retrieve the record based on the primary key by using find by ID. Retrieve record, single record. Retrieve record based on primary key column value. Right. So you no need to write a select query. The query creation will be taken care by that method. You just call the method with the primary key value find by ID. Suppose I want to retrieve multiple records. I have 3 IDs. If you want to retrieve the record with one ID, find by ID. But I have 3 IDs. I want to retrieve 3 records. I have 3 IDs. I want to retrieve 3 records. Find all by ID. What is the method? Find all by ID, iterable IDs. Retrieve records using multiple IDs. So multiple primary key values I know. 1, 2, 3. I want to get the 3 records based on the 3 IDs. Then you will go for find all by ID. So if you want to retrieve all the records from the table, select star from table. Then you will go for find all method. Retrieve all records from table. So if the table is having 10 records, get the 10 records. If it is having 100, get all the 100. For that we are going for find all method. Find by ID, find all by ID, find all. All 3 methods used for retrieving the records only. But what is the difference? What is the difference? Find by ID. What is the meaning of that? Find by ID will retrieve the record based on primary key column value. Find all by ID retrieve the records by using multiple IDs. Find all method will retrieve the records from all the records from the table. Got it. Next one, there is a method called exists by ID. So it will take ID as a parameter to check presence of record. Okay, exists by ID to check presence of record. What is the meaning of presence of record? If the record is available, true. If record is not available, false. It is not to retrieve the record. It is only to check whether record is available or not. That is exists by ID. Next one, there is a method called count method is available to get total number of records. So in our table, how many records are available? We can get that by using count method. Read the methods. First one, save. What is the purpose of save? It is used for inserting the record as well as for updating the record. It will perform upsert operation. Next one, save all. What is the purpose of save all? I want to save multiple records at a time. Then we will go for save all. Next one, find by ID. What is the purpose of find by ID? What is the purpose of find by ID? Retrieve the record based on the primary key column value. Find all by ID. Retrieve records using multiple IDs. Find all. Retrieve all records from the table. Exists by ID to check presence of the record. Count method to get total number of records available in the table. Next one, delete by ID. What is the meaning of delete by ID? What is the meaning of delete by ID? Delete record using primary key. Delete record using primary key column value. Similarly, we have delete all by ID. What is the meaning of delete all by ID? Delete multiple records. Delete multiple records using IDs. Next one, delete all. Delete all with a iterable of objects. So what is the meaning of that? 1 minute. Here, delete based on the object. Okay. Delete record using entity object. Delete records using multiple entities. Okay. Next one, delete all. Truncate the table. Truncate the table. What is the meaning of table truncation? Table truncation means delete all the records available in the table. There are 5 methods available for delete operation. 5 methods available for delete. These 5 methods plus these 7 methods. So total there are 12 methods available in CRUD repository. CRUD repository methods. So if you want to perform these 12 operations, you no need to write single line of code also. If you want to perform these 12 operations, you no need to write a single line of code also, because already predefined methods available. For example, same operations, if I want to perform by using JDBC, 200 to 250 lines of code I need to write. 200 to 250 lines of code I need to write if I go for JDBC, but here 0 lines of code. You no need to write anything. You just call the methods given by data JPA. For example, in my application, there are 1000 tables available. In my application, there are 1000 tables available. So 1000 tables will contain 1000 DAO classes. Okay. In every DAO, 12 methods, 12 common methods I need to write, which are provided by data JPA. Okay. 1000 DAO, in every DAO, 12 methods are common. So total, how many methods we need to write in the project? 12,000 methods I need to write in the project. So for every method, average, take 6 lines of code in every method, or 5 lines of code in every method. Every method contains 5 lines of code. Then what will happen? If you go for JDBC, this is what you need to do in the project. If you are going for the JDBC to develop your application, persistence layer. In the JDBC, ready-made methods are not available. Everything should be taken care by programmer. So we are working on one big application. Our application contains 1000 tables in the database. So for every table, we will create one DAO class. DAO stands for Data Access Object, which is responsible to communicate with the database. So in every DAO, some common methods are available. In every DAO, some common methods, 12 methods. Save the record, retrieve the record, update the record, delete the record, count how many records available, check whether record is available or not. These are common operations for every table. So these are 12 methods available to perform card operations. Now, in one DAO, if I am writing 12 methods, 1000 DAOs available, then 1000 into 12 methods, 12,000 methods I need to write in the project. More lines of code. In every method, average 5 lines of code. If you take 12,000 into 5, 60,000 lines of code we need to write. These 60,000 lines can I call duplicate code? Insert the record, update, delete, retrieve. In every class, same logic will be available. So 12,000 classes will be available. In 12,000 classes, same logic will be available. Only different, table name will be different, column names will be different. The remaining logic is same. That is called boilerplate code. That is called boilerplate code. Now, in my project, 3000 tables are available. Now, can you imagine how many lines of code I need to write in the persistence layer? Come on. 1,80,000 lines of code we need to write only to communicate with the database. If I write 1,80,000 lines of code, how many exceptions will occur? Can you imagine how much time you need to develop the persistence logic for 3000 tables in the project? Can you imagine? If I go for a data JPA, do I need to write single line? No. So whatever the 60,000 lines of code that a programmer should write will be taken care by data JPA. That is called framework. That is called framework. What is the meaning of framework? What is the, forgot. What is framework? Framework is a semi-developed software which will provide common logics required for the application. CRUD operations, not only for my project, every project requires the CRUD operation. Every project will deal with insertion, update, delete, retrieve, all these operations. When this logic is common for everybody, why everybody should write this logic? Framework will provide the logic. You just focus what is your table, what is your entity. You forget about the implementation for the CRUD operation. That logic will be provided by data JPA. So if you have 1000 tables in the project, 1000 interfaces we will create. To create 1000 interfaces, hardly 3-4 days is sufficient. With 3-4 days, our logic will be ready. Suppose if I go for plain JDBC, maybe 1 or 2 months of time, we need to spend only for persistence layer. If you use the data JPA, 1 week is sufficient. 3 months of work, we can complete in 1 week. That is the power of framework. Framework is a semi-developed software which is providing common logic required for the application. As a programmer, you focus only on the business logic development. Common logic will be taken care by framework. Are you clear? Now you got the full picture. What is framework? Why companies are using framework? Best example, JDBC, Spring Data JPA. If I go for JDBC, I need to write my own logic to perform CRUD operation. Every table will have one DAO. In one DAO, 12 methods. 1000 DAOs, 1000 into 12, 12,000 methods. In every method, 5 lines. 12,000 into 5, 60,000 lines of code I need to write. I will write it. How to test it? How much time requires for testing? Our methods are working as expected or not? Our code is working as expected or not? How to test it? For testing, it will take another 1 week of time or another 1 month of time. And how many exceptions we will get? How to handle those exceptions? So it will take around 3 to 4 months of time only to develop persistence layer in the project. But if I go for Spring Data JPA, nothing is required. Already they provided repositories to perform the CRUD operations, predefined methods available. You no need to write any logic for that. You just call the predefined methods. Those methods are already tested. Is there any doubt? Save method will give you a problem? No, that is a framework method. 100% it will work as expected because they already tested. It will work as expected. That's why they released into the market. But whatever the code we write, we need to test whether it is working as expected or not. Lot of time we can save. If we develop our project by using frameworks. We learnt JDBC servlet JSP, but will anybody use them to develop the project? No. What is the problem? What is the problem with the JDBC servlet JSP? Lot of code I need to write. 10-15 years back, people used to develop the project by using JDBC servlet JSP. 10-15 years back. I started my career 11 years ago as a Java developer. I never used JDBC in my project. I never used servlets in my project. I never used JSP in my project because they are outdated. In the current market, people are working with frameworks to develop the application. You need to become very strong in the project development by using frameworks. So that is the reason advanced Java course we completed in the 40 days. In my personal point of view, that 40 days also waste of time. We need to complete within 20 to 25 days of time. The reason, just we need to get the basic idea how to work with them. If you have that basic knowledge, then easily you can understand frameworks part. Got it? Yes. Next one. We are able to understand what is a CRUD repository and what are the methods available in the CRUD repository. Our interface is extending the properties from CRUD repository. Why our interface extending properties from CRUD repository? Because I want to perform CRUD operations with the table. To perform those CRUD operations, I don't want to write the methods. I don't want to write the logic. I want to use the logic which is given by framework. So that's why I'm extending from the CRUD repository. When our interface extending the properties from the CRUD repository, JPA will provide implementation for our interface in the runtime that is called proxy class. Now we are going to perform the operations with the table by using that proxy class. So if I create 2 repositories, for 2 repositories, implementations will be created by JPA when the application started. JPA will scan our project and JPA will identify what are the repositories available. For those repositories, it will provide implementation. Now see here. Starting our application with Java 17, bootstrapping JPA repositories in the default mode. Bootstrapping completed. What it is saying? In our project, there is one JPA repository interface. For that JPA repository interface, they will create the implementation class by using proxy. Then what is this one? Can you see this? Internally data JPA using Hibernate version 6.3.1. Hibernate 6 version it is using internally to perform the operation. And here connection pooling. Do we need to take care of the connection pooling or JPA will take care of the connection pooling? JPA will take care of the connection pooling. Perfect. Application started. There is no logic available. That's why our connection pool got closed. This is the implementation class which is injected into our target. So as per the diagram, our service class is a target class. Service class should talk to repository methods. Repository object is injected into service. So here, what object injected? Repository IMPL bean. So who provided that IMPL bean for the repository? JPA provided. Perfect. Good. Now read the methods once again. Save. Purpose also. What is the save? What is the purpose of save? Save method is used for upsert operation. What is the meaning of upsert operation? Update plus insert. Save all. Same, but save method will take one object as a parameter. Save all method will take multiple objects as a parameter. Find by ID. Find by ID. Retrieve the record based on primary key column value. Find all by ID. Retrieve the records using multiple IDs. Find all. Retrieve all the records from the table. Exist by ID. To check the presence of the record. Count method. To get total number of records available. Delete by ID. To delete the record using primary key column value. Delete all by ID. To delete multiple records using IDs. Delete. To delete the record using entity object. Delete all. To delete all the records using multiple entities. Delete all, which is used to delete all the records from the table. Perfect. Any questions so far? Now we need to practice these methods, guys. Once we practice these methods, then we will talk about how to work with find by methods in the data JPA, how to work with the custom queries in the data JPA, then what is JPA repository, how to work with the primary keys, generators, how to work with association mapping, relationships in the data JPA, then how to work with composite primary key. So another 1 week it is going to take to understand data JPA. In the JPA, the most important and confusing part is relationships, association mapping, one to one, one to many, many to many, many to one, relationships. How to implement association mapping in the data JPA, that is a little confusing topic. The remaining all are very simple because you no need to write anything. For everything we are using predefined methods. Clear? Good. Any questions, anyone? I hope you got the idea on what is the data JPA, why we are going for a data JPA, how to develop our persistence layer by using data JPA in the project. Online students, any questions? As of now, anybody having any questions? No. Good. Let's start. Yes, sir. Any question? Till today, I have not seen any offline student asking the question. Till today, I have not seen any offline student asking the question. I have seen in the core Java, I have seen in the advanced Java, in the Spring Boot also, no questions from the offline people. Online people, I will ask the questions after the class is completed. Good. Now let us go for our service class. Now I want to insert the records. I want to insert the record. Okay. Public void save employee. So I'm writing one method in my service class to insert the record into table. So to insert the record into the table, we are going to call employee repository dot save method. What is the parameter for the save method? Entity object. So we are using ORM features, object relational mapping. One object represents one row in the table. Now, create object employee emp is equal to new employee. Now emp dot set some ID for the employee. In future, we will see how to generate the primary key value. Emp dot set employee ID, emp dot set employee name, some Charles, right? Emp dot set employee gender, male. Then emp dot set emp department, so something like sales department, right? So id, name, gender, department, id, name, gender, department, and salary. Emp dot set emp salary, right? I have created one entity object and I am setting the data to entity object. Now I am passing entity object as a parameter to save method, which is used to insert the record, Now I want to test this save method is working as expected or not. I want to test this method is working as expected or not. So this method is available in the service class. Service class is a Spring Bean. Can I get this service object and can I call this method? How to get the IOC container? How to get the object from IOC? Go to start class. What is the return type? Configurable application context. Configurable application context. How to get the bean object? Context dot get bean of employee service dot class. Employee service dot class is available. Got it? Now we got employee service object. Inside the service there is a method save employee method. Good. So go to our database, select star from employee. We don't have any record in the employee table. So it is a brand new table. There is no record available in the employee table. Let us run our application. Right click, run the application. How many queries executed, guys? 2 queries executed. First one is a select query based on the employee ID. It is used to identify whether record is already available with that ID. If record is already available, it will execute update. If record is not available, it will execute insert. So update or insert, that is called upsert, right? Now save employee, insert query is also executed. Select star from table name. Now you can see that one employee record inserted in the database. We are calling save method. Now salary available as a 15,000 now. Salary available as 15,000. Okay, good. I am running same program again. I'm running the same program again. I'm calling the save method again. What will happen? Which method we are calling? Save. What is the behavior of the save? Upsert. What is the meaning of upsert? If record is already available, update. If record is not available, insert. Now, how many queries will execute? Here, when I execute the same program without modifying the data, here data JPA is intelligent. When I run this application, only select query will be executed. Because whatever the entity object having the data, whatever the data in the database, both are same. There is no difference in the data. When there is no difference in the data, why to update? Are you getting my point? So it is intelligent. So first it will execute a select query to check whether record is available or not available. If record is not available, insert that. Suppose if the record is available, compare entity data, table record. Both are same or different. If both are same, no need to do anything. If both are different, then only execute the update query. Are you clear? Good. Now, when I am running this program again and again, only select query is executing, update query not executing. Why update query not executing? Why update query not executing? Whatever the data is available in our entity object with this ID already record available, and it is comparing our record with the entity object data. Both are exactly same, so no need to update anything. Suppose salary I'm changing from 15,000 to 18,000. Now my entity data and record data same or different. Then it will execute update query. Able to understand? So this all this logic is already implemented in the data JPA. These all are the common logics. Now go to start class, run this console. Right. Select query is executed and update query also executed. Why select query first? To check the presence of the record with the given ID. If record is already available, update. If not available, insert. Okay. So with this, we understood what is a save method. So this is a upsert operation which is used to insert or update single record. Got it? Next one, save multiple employees. Save multiple employees, right? So this is 102, 102, something like sales department, salary 19,000, right? Now I'm creating another employee, 103. So this name is Nick. His admin department. Okay, his salary is some 29,000. So there are two employees available. I want to save these two employees at a time. I want to save two employees at a time. How can we save that? What is the method? Repository, emp repository dot save all. Save all is taking iterable as a parameter, nothing but collection as a parameter. But here I have this is emp1. I need to create this as emp1. Two different objects. Right. Employee 1 is Kathy. Employee 2 is Nika. There are two employees available. And now I need to save these two employees at a time. For that, we are going for save all method. So first I need to convert employee 1 and employee 2 to one collection. Okay. To represent them as a collection, I will use arrays dot as list emp1 comma emp2. What it will return? EMP's list. EMP's list. For the save all method, I will pass this EMP's list object as a parameter. Are you clear? Good. Next one, call this method and check it. I'm commenting the first method. Let me call service dot save multiple employees. I'm saving multiple employees. Check in the table how many records available. Only 101 record is available. Now I am calling save multiple employees, which is calling repository dot save all. Now tell me how many queries will execute. If I execute this method, how many queries will be executed? Come on. Huh? How many queries will execute now? How many objects I'm saving? Two objects. So for every object, two queries will execute. One is a select, another one is insert or update. So for first record, two queries. For the second record, two queries. So total 4 queries will execute. Run this application. Console. Now see, 2 select queries are executed, 2 insert queries got executed. Go to database. Now, can you see 102 and 103 records also inserted? By using save method, one record. By using save all, multiple records at a time. Good. Next one. I want to retrieve one record based on the ID. What is the method? I want to retrieve a record based on the ID. What is the method? Get record by using ID. I need to get the record based on the ID. What is the method available? Find by ID method is available. Write that logic. Public void get EMP. Right. EMP repo dot find by ID. So I'm passing ID as 101. The return type of this method is optional object. When you call find by ID method, it is returning optional object. Optional is a class in the Java 1.8 version, which is used to avoid null pointer exception. Right. So here, why they are returning the optional object? The reason is, if they directly return one employee object like this, find by ID, directly people may call employee dot get employee ID or get employee name. Okay, so earlier people used to write the logic like this: find by ID, which will give the object, entity object. If you directly perform operation on the entity, there is a chance of getting null pointer exception. With this ID, if record is not available, null value, right? So with the given ID, if the record is already available, there is no problem. With the given ID, if the record is available, no problem. With the given ID, if the record is not available, null value. When you perform some operation on the null value, you will get a null pointer exception. To avoid that problem, what the JPA has done, JPA is a returning optional object. Okay, whenever you get the optional object, you cannot perform operation on the optional object, so that we can avoid null pointer exceptions in the project. Now, when you get the find by ID, first we need to check whether record is already available or not. Find by ID dot is present. That means with the given ID, record is available or not. If the record is available, then only get that record by using find by ID dot get. Now it will give the employee object. Now you imagine what we have done in the JDBC to retrieve a record. Select a star from table, result set object, cursor will be available, move the cursor, get the column data, convert into object. Lot of logic I need to write. But here, ORM, object relational mapping. When I am asking to retrieve the record by using find by ID, it will retrieve the record from the table. It will convert into entity object and it will give that entity object for us. Find by ID. What is the return type? Optional. Why not entity directly? Why they are giving optional? If they give the entity directly, people may perform operation on the entity directly. With the given ID, if record is not available, null pointer exception. To avoid that null pointer exception, they are returning optional class. You cannot perform any operation on the optional class directly. First, you need to check your record is present in the optional or not by using isPresent method. IsPresent method. If record is present, then only get that record and print that record. So the record will be retrieved from the table and that record will be converted into entity object also. Find by ID. With the given primary key value, I want to retrieve the record. Are you clear? Good. Next, go here and call that method service dot get EMP, which will retrieve one record with the given ID. Run this. Now, can you see? Am I able to retrieve the record? What is the query executing? Select star from table, where employee ID is equal to given value. Select a star from the table where ID is equal to given value. Based on the given employee ID, we are retrieving the record from the table. Look at this. Find by ID. Remember what is the return type and why they are using that return type. The return type is optional. That is a predefined class in the Java util package which introduced in the Java 1.8 version. Okay, good. Next one. I want to retrieve multiple employees by using IDs. Come on. I want to retrieve multiple employees by using IDs. What is the method? Find all by ID. Okay. Let me call find all by ID. Now complete logic will be changed, guys. I have my IDs 101, 102, 103. Or I want to get only 102 and 103 records. Two records I want to get based on the ID. I should go for find by ID or find all by ID. Find by ID or find all by ID. Find all by ID. Okay. emp repo dot find all by ID. What is the parameter? List. What is the parameter? List. Can I do like this? What is this? Converting the values to the list. Arrays dot as list. Convert these two objects into one array list object. Pass that array list object as a parameter. What is the return type? What is the return type? Iterable object. What is iterable? Super interface for the collection interface. Super interface for the collection interface. I got the iterable object. I want to iterate that. Let us go for lambda expression. For each, I want to get each employee object. Okay. Iterator dot for each method I am calling with the method expression, right? I'm calling a for each method with the method reference. It is a Java 8 feature. You can write a for each loop or you can write a for loop also. I'm going for each method with the method reference. Whatever the objects available in the iterable, I want to print each object on the console. Right click, run as Java application. Get employees. Service dot get employees. Right? Run this. Now, can you see? Am I able to get all the two records from the table? I am passing two IDs. With the two IDs, I'm able to get the two records from the table. Those two records I'm printing on the console by using for each method. This for each method also introduced in the Java 1.8 version. Right. Find all by ID, find by ID, save method, save all method. Now, I want to retrieve all the employees from the table. I want to retrieve all the employees from the table. What is the method? Find all. Okay. Public void get all employees. Public void get all employees. emp repository dot find all. Right? Now I'm getting that records. Find all records. How to print them? What is the difference between find all and find all by ID? Find all is used to retrieve all the records. Find all by ID to retrieve the records based on the given IDs. How to print them? Find all dot for each system dot out colon print ln. So this is method reference in the Java 8. Get all employees. Service dot get all employees. Run this. Run as boot application. There are 3 records available and we are able to retrieve all the 3 records from the table. There are 3 records available in the table. We are getting all the 3 records available in the database table. Good. Now, I want to see how many records available in the table. Count of the records. How to see the count? Count method. I want to see the record is present in the table or not. Exists by ID. I want to delete all the records from the table. Delete all. I want to delete one record based on the ID. Delete by ID. So can you practice the remaining methods? It's very simple. Now we have seen up to these methods. Save all, find by ID, find all by ID, find all. Exists by ID to check the record is present or not. Count method to get the total number of records in the table. Delete by ID to delete the record using primary key column value. Delete all by ID to delete multiple records using IDs. Delete method to delete the record using entity object. Delete all, delete the records using multiple entity objects. Delete all method, truncate the table, nothing but delete all records. Empty the table. Delete all records available in the table. For that we are going for delete all method. Good. So I want you to practice the remaining methods available in the CRUD repository. Good. Any questions, anyone? Anybody having any questions? Offline people. Huh? There is in the Spring Boot, we can use application.properties file or we can use application.yml file also. YML is a common for all the languages. Properties file is only specific to Java. So in future, we will see what is the difference between properties file and YML file. Currently in the market, people are using YML files. No, properties file is just a key value pair. It is just a file with the key value pair. What is the language here? No language. No language. It is just a file which is used to store the data in the form of key and value. That's it. Yeah. Any other question? Any other question? Anyone? Huh? No questions? Okay, good. Online students, anybody having any questions? Online students, anybody having any question?
Yes,
Listen. Whatever the doubts they're asking, I will read that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So for every entity class, we need to implement a separate interface, right?
Yes, sir.
So implement the method.
Yeah, good question. Sir is asking one question. For every table, do we need to create a separate entity and separate repository? Yes. If you have one table, for that table, one entity will be available, one repository will be available. If I have 1,000 tables, 1,000 entities, 1,000 repositories will be available. Every table should have its own entity, its own repository interface. Good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Next one.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Very good morning.
Sir, if we create by self, then any issue?
If we create?
Well, by self, not help to hibernate.
Yeah. So can we create a table on our own without using the help of the Hibernate? Yes. So if you create the table on your own also, no problem. Then you no need to write this property.
Okay, sir. Okay. Then any difference?
No difference.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. You need to map your table name and column names properly in the entity class. That's it.
Sir, good morning.
Yeah. Tell me.
If multiple tables are there, like if you want to work with, like if you want to work with multiple tables, so how we are going to do that?
So basically, you are talking about join queries.
Yeah, correct.
Right. So we will see how to work with the join queries.
Okay, okay, sir.
Yeah. So in the association mapping, I will tell you how to work with the joins by using data JPA.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Hi sir, why can't you use directly the code repository API directly? So why want to extend that?
Sir, if you use the CRUD, so sorry, can you come again?
So the repository directly, why can't you use directly this repository? So why want you extend?
Directory, if you want to use CRUD repository, right? You cannot write the custom methods. So tomorrow, I want to retrieve the records based on the employee's salary. There is no method available for that. Okay. So I want to retrieve the records based on the employee gender. There is no method for that. So we need to write some custom methods based on the requirement. That's why we are creating our own interface.
Okay. For a minimal card operation, we can use directly this
Directly,
repository.
yes.
I'm an Angular developer. Sir, you saved employee 1 and employee 2 using array list, sir. We can't say using JSON.
So this is a relational database. You cannot save the JSON data. If it is a MongoDB, we can save in the JSON data. But MySQL is a RDBMS. You can't save in the JSON format. If you want to save in the JSON, it should be like a text, varchar data type. Okay.
Sir, in real-time project, how many tables will be there, sir?
That depends on, sir. Some projects will have 500. Some projects, my project having 3000 tables.
Okay, sir.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Sir, good morning. I'm installing an Oracle SQL developer, sir. So that one I have one.
Yeah, we'll connect, Veera. After the session, we'll connect on that.
Okay. Thanks.
Cool.
Hi, Ashok.
Hello.
Actually, I faced one issue with not a managed type or something. I got a.
Yes, sir. Share that in the WhatsApp group. After the class today, we'll connect and we'll resolve that issue.
And moreover, I have seen when I'm giving the annotation entity type, it's not going for the Java extra persistent. It's going for another package, Jakarta, something like that.
Yeah, Jakarta package only I'm using. You see that. When you are, guys, in the entity class, when you are writing entity or ID, package names you need to refer from the Jakarta persistence, not Hibernate packages. Hibernate packages are deprecated. You need to go for Jakarta packages only.
Okay.
Yep. Good.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Yes, sir. When I'm using the Oracle DB, then I'm getting the network adapter issue. So how can we resolve?
I will check that. Share the screenshot in the group. Today I will see that.
Okay, sir.
Okay, cool. Good.
When to go for JPA repository, when to go for CRUD repository?
That is the discussion after 2 days, sir.
Okay.
Once our CRUD repository completed, then we will go for JPA repository. So then we will decide when to go for CRUD, when to go for JPA repository.
Sure. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, when we write find by queries, by default it's the JPA will write select query, no
Correct.
matter of queries, right?
Correct.
Yeah, but you have checked that for if class, why you checked for if ID is present?
That is the
You
return
write
type
that for
optional.
them.
This is optional, sir. The return type is optional. You can't get the object from the optional. You first need to check whether the record is available in the optional or not. If it is available, then only I need to get that. This is the syntax.
Okay, sir. Then for multiple tables, can we keep single service class?
Yes, you can keep it.
Okay.
One service class can talk to multiple repositories.
Thank you.
Yeah. Fine, guys. Good. Thank you. So with this, we understood basic what is our JPA, what is the CRUD repository, and how to perform CRUD operations by using CRUD repository. So total there are 12 methods available in the CRUD repository. Fine. We have experimented with the 5 methods. The remaining methods, I want you to practice. What is the count method, exists by ID, delete by ID, right? Those methods I want you to practice. In the Monday session, we will see how to work with find by methods and how to work with custom queries in the data JPA. That is also very, very important. Once that is completed, then we will go for JPA repository. Then we will understand what is the difference between CRUD repository and JPA repository. Good. So tomorrow we don't have class. We have next class on Monday.